All right, so I'm joined now by A's insider Jess Kleinschmidt. Jess, so much to talk about. Let's start with this, the significance of the All-Star Game selections for both Jacob Wilson and Brent Rooker. Talk a little bit about that and what that feels like around the team right now.
Oh gosh, where do I start? And the two best guys couldn't have been picked for the A's to represent them in the All-Star game. We'll start with Jacob Wilson. Obviously, the numbers speak for themselves. The baseball IQ is certainly there. But when you're in the same sentence as far as your bat to ball skills as Tony Gwynn, people are going to pay attention to that. And we already talked about his defense, but the guy pretty much came out of the womb having that fantastic baseball IQ from the defensive end. And of course, his father, who had a very illustrious defensive career himself in the big, certainly helped that. And I think for him, seeing him grow over the years too, that was his first interview right when he got drafted. So to see just how much he's matured over time has been great. And of course, it's nice to have the fans vote him in because let's be honest, baseball's more prominent on the East Coast. So for him to get all those votes for a West Coast team is certainly great. And Brent Rooker, of course, is well deserved. Probably more so in 2024. I'm going to say it until I'm blue in the face. He's a snub from the 2024 All-Star Select. But hey, he's now a two-time All-Star, and rightfully so. The power was certainly there. But I talked to JP Sears, Mason Miller, and Michael Kelly all about what Brent did this season. And it's all about that consistency and how poised he is in some of these at-bats. And the guy who is off the field an all-star as well. And back in 2023, he said during his all-star stint, during the game, he had no business being there. And now he's not only a representative, but one of the best hitters in the league. And pitchers aren't scared to throw at him. And I think that speaks volumes to what he's been able to do. And he also told me he still wants to have this Ohtani photo signed by Shohei. And it's a time where Ohtani gave up a home run to Brent Rooker. So hopefully Brent can get that signed. But hey, he definitely deserves to be there. So 2023 was certainly the start of it all.
Hey, who could blame him? That's exciting stuff. So, okay, let's go back to Jacob Wilson for a second. He left yesterday's game. How concerned are you about what happened and what went down in the first inning?
Definitely less concerned than when I first saw it take place. So we know Jacob Wilson is definitely a tough guy, but for him to exit the game, it kind of makes you stop in your tracks and worry. And at first, it was a left wrist contusion, and that's kind of what they're holding on to. And Jacob Wilson talked to us after the game saying there's no concern there. It's a day-to-day situation. The beauty is x-rays did come back negative, and he followed up, doubling down, saying that nothing was broken. They're going to reevaluate him on Wednesday, and I think it's going to be okay. It's just one of those things when you take a 97-mile-an-hour ball off the wrist, something's going to happen. But all in all, he feels good. He's going to work with trainers, and I think it's good news from now.
Okay, now to Zack Gelof. He's back in the lineup. Tell us a little bit about what's going on with him as he's returned to the A's.
Yeah, it's a well-awaited return for him, and we weren't exactly worried about the second base position because Luis Urias was doing a good job. He's now on the IL, so that weirdly worked out. But for him, it's just kind of slowly getting back into it. He's such a prominent member of this young core, and I think for him to not only return from the defensive end, which has been important, but to get that bat around. It's a slow start a little bit at first. He doesn't quite have a batting average yet, but I think that'll come with time. When you get a build up from the time you started, he essentially had a spring training right during his rehab game. So it's a slow start, but he's excited to get back. He's in great spirits. I know he's happy to be back with the team. And he wasn't exactly absent. He was always making his presence known. He was in the clubhouse quite a bit. But it's going to be nice to see him perform because let's be honest, the bats are doing really well. I know he wants to be a part of that.
Well, it's so crazy because in a game like yesterday, let's talk about this. I mean, Nick Kurtz hits a grand slam, his first career grand slam, but he's not even the player of the game as Lawrence Butler hits an inside the park one and as well one over the fence. Tell us a little bit about how ironic this is that Lawrence Butler is hitting this inside the park home run, and one of the last A's players to do this is, in fact, his own skipper, Mark Kotsay. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, it was a very famous inside the park home run for former center fielder, current A's manager Mark Kotsay. And we asked him, what did that feel like? This is back in 2006 during the ALDS. And all he said was, I remember being very exhausted. So we told Lawrence Butler that. And Law, of course, asked, I hope I was faster. Was I faster getting around the bases? And it's always interesting with those inside the park home runs because you kind of see a gear click around turning second base and you're wondering, do they realize it's gone over? And Law wasn't sure. But to have him and the Cots in the exact same sentence definitely made Law happy. And I think his performance at the plate on Tuesday was really reminiscent of what he's been able to do. And Kotz himself said he's been really mature in some of these at bats. So I asked Law about that. He says, yeah, I feel like I'm growing. The competitive factor is certainly there. And I think that's what's exciting as well. And we know all-star selections have been announced, but if we're being honest, if there was one guy that the A's could send in addition to the other two to the all-star game, it wouldn't be totally out of mind to say it was Lawrence Butler. Mind you, the guy's zone 4. He's from Atlanta, so it's a great series for him. And he had that performance against his hometown team, the team he grew up rooting for. So to know that that was all added to, he's very honest. He's like, that definitely adds to the, I guess, excitement to whatever was going on for him at the plate. But he's definitely confident. It's been so cool to watch him grow this season, especially for a guy who's sealed up for the next 5 years.
Yeah, 100%. All right, so last thing here, Denzel Clarke. I mean, Jess, it seems like almost each and every show we could highlight a web gem that this guy is demonstrating. But the cool thing here is that he's actually starting to show more of a presence at the plate. And he had recently last week that 470-foot yard jack. So tell us a little bit about, has he mentioned anything? What have you seen from him at the plate now? Is that such a great sign to see that in addition with everything he's doing in center field?
Yeah, absolutely. And the beauty of him is when it comes to the defensive end, he wasn't worried. He knows what he's capable of from that aspect. And I've been profiling him for Baseball America since spring training. And he told me, I just need to get more reps at the dish. And that's exactly what A's GM David Forst told me in AAA. He just needs to get out there and hit a little bit more. So A's hitting coach Darren Bush told us he's getting better and better every day. The moment he told us that, things really sparked for him at the plate. And I think it was just one of those things when you work with the right coaches, you have the right mindset, not too worried about what's happening for you on the defensive end, things are going to happen. I think it's just one of those things where once you get the reps, once you have more confidence, and once you kind of understand what your job is at the plate, it's different from the AAA perspective, especially from a PCL standpoint. So for him to get at the plate and not only show that power, you mentioned that 471-foot jack, but he's being consistent too. He's making a lot of contact. And I asked Kotz, when you have what Denzel Clarke's able to do defensively and you add what's going to happen when the bat figures itself out, you're going to have a very talented player. And that's kind of, saying it lightly. When that guy continues to do what he's able to do, beautiful things are going to happen. He's going to be one of the best in the league.
All right, let's see it all come together. She's one of the best. It's A's insider Jess Kleinschmidt. Thanks so much, Jess.
Thanks for having me.